Have you ever felt like the smallest thing ended everything with an avoidant? If so, you've probably witnessed what I call the avoidant final straw trigger. It's one small moment that ends the whole relationship. Hi, I'm Jess. I've helped over 5,000 people find love, and I coach people one-on-one to heal their attachment style so they can feel secure and stop sabotaging relationships. If you're ready for that transformation, sign up via the link in the description box. So I wanted to talk about the avoidant final straw trigger because it can be so confusing and so painful. And you can end up questioning yourself a lot and second guessing. So first, what is the avoidant final straw trigger? And this is the thing, it usually isn't anything obvious. It's not a big blow up, a massive argument. It can be something seemingly so small, like following up on a text when they haven't replied or asking why they seem off. To you, it probably feels small and reasonable, but then they suddenly end things because for them, it's the moment that they quietly decided they'd reached their limit. In this video, I'm going to explain why this happens, how to recognize the signs leading up to it, and what you can do to reduce the chance of this happening. So how does the avoidant final straw trigger come about? Well, it isn't really to do with that one thing that happened at all. It's the accumulation of many things before that happened, and then they hit a limit. Avoidants can find it hard to communicate what they need in a relationship. Say they might need more space or a different form of affection. One example could be that they need more physical touch, and you haven't really been doing much of that together lately. But even if they need that, there's a high chance that they won't say it out loud. And one of the reasons why they struggle to express their needs is because they often aren't really very aware of them. They're often disconnected from their emotions, and our emotions guide us to what we want. So when you're cut off from what you feel, it can be hard to know what even to ask for. Another reason why they struggle to communicate openly is that they really don't like conflict, and asking for something that they want could trigger conflict of some kind. And then the third reason is that they do view connection as fragile. So they think that asking for what they want could damage the connection. Ultimately, they just aren't used to it as well. And there's an irony here because not voicing what they need can cause the avoidant final straw trigger, which can bring about the end of the entire relationship. So avoidants suppress, 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 and then bang. They either implode or explode. Dismissive avoidance will always pretty much implode, while fearful avoidance might do either. So when we don't communicate what we think and feel and need in relationships, things are going to build up. And this applies to any attachment style. For other attachment styles, it might look like resentment, frustration, or conflict. But because avoidants really don't like conflict, it can be easier for them to end things altogether. And also by not expressing their needs, avoidants can end up feeling unseen. You're not a mind reader. I'm not a mind reader. None of us are. If we don't communicate, we leave the other person guessing. And those guesses are quite often wrong or not super accurate. So learning to voice what you need doesn't just bring you the things you value in a relationship. It's also a safeguard against these negative buildups that can end something that could have been amazing. So what kind of things can build up over time? And just to be clear, I'm definitely not saying you shouldn't do the things on this list. Some examples are repeated bids for reassurance, asking if everything's okay, if they still care. Side note, it is okay to ask for reassurance in moderation. Another one is frequent texts or check-ins when they're already feeling stretched, requests for more time together when they're craving space, ongoing discussions about the future that they don't feel ready for, small compromises that they didn't speak up about, say agreeing to plans when they didn't really want to, feeling like they're never enough but not saying it out loud, small boundary crossings that they didn't address, say they stayed later or you called at times they didn't want. These things will usually build up in a way that either makes them feel pressured or misunderstood. And this isn't on you, just to be clear. And like I said, I am definitely not saying you shouldn't do these things in certain situations. It is important to set boundaries and you can ask to spend more time together. But I do just want to explain how this works. And I'm going to talk about potential signs the final straw trigger might happen. But first, if you've ever felt like you're giving it your all in love, but somehow you keep sabotaging your relationships without meaning to, I've got something that can help. I've put together a guide that breaks down the 3 biggest mistakes anxiously attached people make that push love away, and exactly how to break those cycles, so you can finally build the secure relationship you've always wanted. And I'm giving it away for free for a limited time. If you're anxiously attached, you can't afford to miss this, because these are the exact patterns I've seen destroy relationships again and again. And I also share the steps to take to turn it around. I've helped over 5,000 people find love through So Synced. My work has been featured in Forbes, Cosmopolitan, the New York Times, and many more. The link is in the description box, so grab your copy while it's still available. So what are some signs that an avoidant is getting close to their limit? And just to be clear, not all avoidants who are close to their limit will just abruptly end things. Some avoidants will pull back a bit, or if they're aware of their patterns, they might actually talk things through in a more low-key, not super vulnerable way. So yes, the signs are things like they start taking longer to reply, or they reply less often. It could be plans becoming more vague or non-committal when they used to be clearer. Their tone shifting to shorter, more functional messages instead of warm ones. They might avoid deep conversations or change the subject quickly when they come up. They also might seem distracted or distant when you're together. Physical affection can drop off without an explanation. And they also can stop initiating contact and leave it all to you. They might agree things and then seem reluctant or detached. They can seem irritated by small requests that wouldn't normally bother them. And how can you prevent this happening? Ultimately, it's about creating a safe space for both people to express what they need without fear, judgment, or pressure. My guess is, if you're watching this video, you're probably someone who tries to understand rather than judge. So that's a great start. The next thing you can do to prevent an avoidant final straw trigger is to model healthy communication yourself. And this is easier said than done. But often avoidants haven't really seen what healthy communication looks like in a romantic relationship. And it's really helpful for them to actually see examples of what this looks like in action. Would you be able to drive a car if no one ever showed you? It can be the same for avoidance and open communication. So what this means is the more you express your needs in a non-triggering way, the more examples you give them to see what it looks like in real life. And last but not least, the pressure side of things. How do you create a low pressure environment? That is partly done by how you communicate, and it will largely come down to your attachment style, because that shapes the energy that you bring to a relationship. If your energy feels anxious, even gentle words can land as pressure, or even no words. They can sometimes just sense it. That's why one of the best things you can do is work on becoming securely attached if you aren't already. When you feel secure inside, the way you show up changes completely. Your energy feels safer and calmer to an avoidant. It makes a huge difference, massive. And if you want support with that, I coach people one-on-one to heal their attachment style so they can build steady, lasting relationships. You'll find the link in the description box if you're ready for that transformation. I hope this gave you more insight into the avoidant final straw trigger, because it can feel so confusing when something so seemingly small leads to such a dramatic outcome. Thanks for watching.